So today's keyword is reinvent. For me, I would say it's a very, very powerful word because, you know, many times we definitely need to do this. Let's imagine, you are scrolling through your old photos from 5 years ago. The hairstyle make you cringe. The fashion choices make you laugh. But more than that, the person in that photo believed things you no longer believe, wanted things you no longer want, and was becoming someone you are no longer trying to be. And if someone asks you today, are you the same person you were 5 years ago? You would probably say no. You have changed, you have grown, you have evolved. But here's the interesting question. Did that change just happen to you, or did you choose it? Now, most of us change by accident, through circumstances, heartbreaks, failures, or life simply pushing us into corners. But what if you could change on purpose? What if you could look at who you are today and consciously decide to become someone new? How does that feel? Not because you're broken, not because you failed, but because you are ready. So today we are talking about something that terrifies and excites in equal measure: the courage to reinvent yourself. Let me share something about Kavya. She's 38, been working in IT for 15 years. Good job, stable income. But somewhere around, year 10, she stopped feeling alive. She loves photography, always has. But every time she thinks about pursuing it seriously, a voice in her head says, you are an IT professional. That's who you are. You can't just change now. What will people say? But there's Rohan. He's a 19-year teenager studying engineering because that's what he got into. But his heart is in stand-up comedy. He performs at open mic secretly, tells no one. And when his friends ask about his future, he laughs nervously. Engineer ही बन रहा हूँ यार, what else? As if there are no other options, as if he's locked in. And here's what both of them believe. I am who I've always been, and changing that is somehow betraying myself. But that's a lie, a beautiful, comfortable lie that keeps us stuck. You're not a fixed point, you're not a permanent address, you're not a role, a degree, a job title, or decision you made when you were 17 or didn't know better. You are a work in progress and you will always be. So now let's clear something up immediately because I know what some of you are thinking. Reinvention sounds exhausting. I'm not starting from scratch. I built my life. I'm not throwing it away. Good news, you don't have to. Reinvention is not starting over. It's evolving higher. A butterfly doesn't throw away being a caterpillar. It transforms the caterpillar into something with wings. The caterpillar stage mattered. It was necessary, but it was in the final form. A butterfly is proof that endings can be beginnings in disguise. So reinvention doesn't mean erasing your past. It means using it as the foundation for who you are becoming. The IT professional who becomes a photographer, all those years of project management, client handling, problem solving, those skills don't disappear. They evolve, they transfer, they deepen a new path. The engineering student who becomes a comedian, all that analytical thinking, all that training in logic, it makes his comedy sharper, smarter, and more layered. So you're not starting over, you're just leveling up. So it's something, most people don't realize. Life demands periodic reinvention for growth. Let me repeat that. Life demands periodic reinvention for growth. So think about it. The person you were at 16 can't run your life at 26. The person you were before heartbreak can't navigate you through healing. And the person you were before parenthood can't raise a child. The person you were before loss can't carry grief. Life changes. And if you don't change with it, you get stuck. I know people in their 40s still living by rules they created when they were 20, still people pleasing like they did as teenagers, still pursuing goals that mattered a decade ago but feel empty now. They're not falling, they're just outdated. Like running iOS 10 on an iPhone 15. It doesn't work. Reinvention isn't optional, let me tell you that. It's survival, it's evolution, it's growth. So it's for you to think if you want growth or not. The question isn't if you'll change. The question is, will you change? Will you change consciously or will you let life change? So if reinvention is natural, necessary, and powerful, why is it so terrifying? You know, sometimes we really feel it really difficult to change, to reinvent ourselves. We're not just ready because it requires courage. And courage is in the absence of fear. Courage is doing it scared, but doing it anyway. So, what are we scared of? Maybe judgment. People will think I'm unstable. They'll say I don't finish what I start. They'll question my seriousness. Many a times, the for the ideals I've been living, or the rules that I've framed for myself, I feel hesitant to break them in the later years. Log kya kahenge syndrome once again. And many a time because of this, we become unreasonable. And many a time with the families, we call it generation gap when we are not able to connect with the young ones because of our old rules. I don't say that all old rules are bad, but yes, we need to evolve. We need to change with times. Failure. What if I try and it doesn't work? But I what if I give up stability for a dream that crashes? That failure syndrome. We're not ready to accept that failure can be a feedback. And it is all the more reason to reinvent ourselves and start again. Identity loss. If I'm not an engineer, who am I? If I'm not the good daughter, what's left? If I'm not the person I've always been, will people still love me? So these fears are real. I'm not dismissing them. But here's what's more real, the regret of never trying. You know what's scarier than failing at something new? Succeeding at something that never mattered to you in the first place. Reaching the top of a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. A client once told me, I'm too old to start over. She was 42. I said, you're going to be 42 whether you reinvent yourself or not. The only question is, do you want to be 42 and stuck or 42 and evolving? So it's the most liberating truth I can share with you today. You don't need permission to begin again. Yeah, not from your parents, not from your spouse, not from your past self, and not from your society. You don't need a crisis to justify change. You don't need to hit rock bottom to rebuild. You don't need a tragedy to give yourself permission to evolve. You can wake up tomorrow and decide, oh, I'm becoming someone who prioritizes health over hustle, or I'm becoming someone who chooses peace over proving myself, and I'm becoming someone who says no without guilt. Difficulty of saying no. Some people have that. And I'm becoming someone who pursues passion over prestige. And that's it. Decision made, reinvention begin. Will it be easy? Definitely no. Will people understand? Some will, some won't. And will you doubt yourself? Absolutely. There will be days that be happening with you. But here's the secret. You don't have to, all figured out to start. You just have to take one step in the right direction and in a new direction, I would say. Kavya didn't quit her job overnight. She started shooting on weekends, built a portfolio, took one small freelance project, then another, then another. And 2 years later, she transitioned, not recklessly, but intentionally. Even Rohan, he didn't drop out, kept studying, but he stopped hiding his comedy. He started posting online, built an audience. And by the time he graduated, he had options, the real ones. So reinvention isn't a dramatic leap. It's a series of small, brave choices. Maybe you're sitting here thinking, this sounds nice, but it's not practical for me. I have responsibilities, I have bills, I have people depending on me. We are so proud of saying all this stuff. I hear you. I'm not asking you to be responsible, definitely not. But I'm asking you to be honest. How much of your resistance is genuine responsibility and how much is just fear dressed up as duty? Because sometimes we use responsibility as an excuse to avoid a risk. We say, I can't change because of my family, when really we mean, I'm scared to try. And here is the truth. The best thing you can model for your children, your spouse, your loved ones is a life fully lived, not a life of quiet desperation. Your daughter doesn't need you to sacrifice your dreams to prove your love. She needs to see you pursue your dreams so she knows she can pursue hers. And that's so very important. Your partner doesn't need you to stay small to keep them comfortable. They need to see you grow so your relationship can grow too. And the courage to reinvent yourself isn't selfish, it's the most generous thing you can do. And let me tell you what happens when you finally take that step. At first, yes, it's uncomfortable. You're learning, you're awkward, you're not good yet. People question you, and you question yourself. But then slowly something shifts. You start to feel alive again. And that part of you that's been asleep for years, it wakes up. You start to remember what excitement feels like, what purpose feels like, what showing up as your fullest self feels like. And what's the best part? You realize you're not betraying your old self, you're honoring them. You're becoming who they always hoped you would be. And a butterfly is a proof that ending can be beginnings in disguise. So, what looked like the end of the caterpillar was actually the beginning of flight. There's a poem by Rumi that says, let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not leave you astray. And that pull you feel, that quiet voice that says, there's more for you. That's not restlessness. That's not dissatisfaction. That's not a midlife crisis. That's evolution calling. And you get to answer. Not someday, not when you're ready, because you'll never feel fully ready. You answer today with one small, brave choice. And here's your exercise for this week, and I want you to do it honestly. Reflect. Which version of me is outdated? Let me repeat that. You have to reflect which version of me is outdated. What part of your identity, your beliefs, your behaviors are you clinging to simply because that's who you've always been, not because that's who you want to be? And then write one new version statement and complete this sentence. I am becoming someone who, and then fill in the blanks. I am becoming someone who, not I should become, not I wish of I was, not maybe someday. I am becoming. You might write, I'm becoming someone who chooses peace over proving. And some of you might write, I'm becoming someone who pursues purpose over approval. Or even better, I'm becoming someone who honors rest as much as hustle. Or I'm becoming someone who speaks truth even when their voices shake. Write it and then say it loud. Feel how true it is. That sentence, that's not a wish, that's actually a declaration. That's your reinvention beginning. So you don't need anyone's permission. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need the courage to take one step toward the person you are becoming. And that person, they've been waiting for you. It's time. Reinvent, evolve, and fly. So, with that thought, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.